6 of the 100 questions of Gemini. The title of phase 6 given is The Master Thief and Management. Okay. Master Thief is the name of one of my books. Question number 71 to 85. Master Thief and Management. Question 71. Why are resources often hidden inside? A resource of whatever kind will be only hidden most of the time. Even the normal food, the normal rice that most of the people in the world eat, even that rice is hidden inside itself. And that plant was hidden inside the soil. So real resources are hidden now. It is inside only. It has to be inside. Okay? Because that's the kind of resources. Resources like resources to write. Even for the little baby to make a sound, the resource was inside. The little baby to talk, the resource was inside. It was hidden, it was not visible. As I said some time back, unless the child makes a sound, nobody can train the child to talk. Then the higher order resources like somebody is able to paint, to dance, to write poetry, to create music, to do wonders on the stone and other materials with the highly dexterous hands. All those resources are inside only. Why? Meaning that's the only way it can be done. Everything is hidden inside. Like a huge tree is hidden inside a seed. So that's the only way. That's quite natural. That's the natural process truth. That is the universal truth. 72. What is the missing engine of modern leadership? Oh, there are not missing engines, a lot. A lot. As I told in the mystic leadership, a great lot of mindsets are missing. Mindsets of attitudes, values, principles, the courage aspect, the real confidence in self, the real flexibility required to understand the situations, to adapt the situations, to get out of that so-called functional fixity, and the great sensitivity required, that creative sensitivity to see the invisible and to hear the unspoken and to understand the unique competencies of other people, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of articles already available, like what Peter Drucker has described, or Warren Bennis has suggested. Great lot of competencies and mindsets and attributes required. Many missing engines. And the real ability to observe the details, real attention to details, the real and creative analytic conceptualization, the ability to conceptualize a language to inspire and liberate and impress the people. What I call finally the creativity. Really the creativity and originality and genius is missing. The three concepts, if you say, is missing in modern leadership. And whoever has it, they succeed. But I do not consider modern leadership as the highest possible. That's what I have mentioned in my concept of mystic leader. Mystic leadership. So I had given the examples of Jesus Christ or Buddha or Krishna or someone at that level. Why not leaders be at that level? Enlightened leadership. So whatever is required for that level of genius mindsetting, they are all missing in most of the modern leaders. Because they are all highly educated and experienced in the current pattern, current flow of organizations. And most of the so-called organizations, they are all glorified, they are all doing business, they are all trading. It is not any ideal organization. So the ancient traders' mindset is controlling organization, so its owners, and the leader most of the time are nothing special. They are just competent in implementing the programs of the owners of the organization. Which organization is great today? Some time back there was some Japanese leaders like Matsushita or Osamu Suzuki or people like that have been referred to. So, a lot of missing engines. 73. How does organization entelechy differ from corporate strategy? Organization entelechy meaning the hidden potential. Something that has the goal in itself, in its own design. So, why an organization has been created and evolved for a certain purpose. So achieving that purpose is the concept behind organization entelechy. So, corporate strategy is just one of the elements, one of the aspects of organization entelechy. In order to achieve the entelechy of the organization, there should be a proper corporate strategy also. Question number 74. Why is management education failing the genius himself? I have written a complete book on missing engines of management education. In the so-called curriculum or syllabus of management education anywhere in the whole world, there is no reference to genius or genius himself. No doubt. Talk about what you call authentic leadership, servant leadership, enlightened leadership and all that. But genius himself is height. Like a genius in physics knows everything about physics, genius himself is close to enlightened kind of an individual. So such genius himself are not necessary, in fact, for the corporations. And management education can never consider genius himself as one of the attributes or one of the requirements or one of the it is a major attributes. It's a totality, geniusness in self. So management education cannot cover that. If at all somebody writes the syllabus and curriculum, there are of course many treatises available that can induce the more or less correct perception of genius and self to people. But who will teach it? It cannot be taught. It has to be trained. Genius in self is not a subject to be rote learned and written in examinations. But there can be great case studies like Zen parables, like the parables of leadership published in Harvard Business Review sometime in 1992 or so. Rene Mabon and Kim, their article, Parables of Leadership. So if that is followed, if that is taken as a case study, if every management student is able to identify with the prince in the first parable, the sound of the forest, or similar kind of individuals with the mind of Zen or mind of absolute tuning with the nature process and the double, that is possible. But management institutions should have the will and competency to do that. And the realization that the genius himself is something that is essential, that is possible, that is required. So it's a matter of vision. In my sessions, I have been talking about genius himself. I took sessions on ethics in Chandragupta Institute of Management, Patna. Those who have undergone my sessions, maybe about close to 2,000, 3,000 students, if they are listening to this video, wherever they are, they would now remember how much my session, listening to me, has contributed to their current evolution. I always incorporated creative analytical thinking at that time, way back in 2005 or that kind of a time, and the so-called management students were not at all interested in the class, and now they must be thinking perhaps, as I said some time back, because of the advent of artificial intelligence and so-called volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous nature of the world systems and processes and procedures, now they would be realizing the value of my sessions, and those who are loved my sessions, I am sure wherever they are, they might remember most of the sentences even I told in the class. For example, when I wanted to do a session on creative analytical thinking at the Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode, by the suggestion of the then director, Dr. Amarlal Kalro, I told him in advance, I will do a sample session. It was a 3-day session. So first, let all the students be there in the class, and I requested the director to come to the class and announce to the class that listen to this session, and if you are interested in, you participate. Otherwise, you have the entire freedom to not to attend the class. I said thank you, and the class started. 80 students were there, and by tea interval, the number of students I think reduced to something like 40, and after the lunch there were only 10 students, and I continued my sessions with them till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the night for 3 days. So that was the kind of so-called management students at the Indian Institute of Management, Kozhikode. And I did similar sessions in many other places, but the students were not that much arrogant. I did it in PSG Institute of Management, Coimbatore, then Manipal, TFI Institute, Manipal, and some similar places. So they were all somehow sitting in the classroom, but only about 10 or 12 students out of 60 or 80 were really interested, and now they would remember how much they actually benefited at that time. Okay. Question number 75. What is the 9th mental trap that is most dangerous today? I have already mentioned the 9th mental trap in my book. That is the mental trap of self-importance. Sorry, speed trap. Speed trap is mindset by which individuals are sort of forced to do everything quickly, to get things done quickly, to get whatever they wanted in life to come to them quickly at a larger scale, or not able to feel that patience and that regular pace of life or work or relationships. That is speed trap. And that is augmented by various technological factors like a smartphone. Everything is coming quickly, and the speed of vehicle, the speed of internet, email and things like that. A lot of things are working quite speed today. But if you look at what is the consequence of that speedy things, speedy email, speedy communication, speedy travel, speedy production, etc., etc., what it has contributed to the real peace of the world or real progress of the world, real progress of the poor people, they are all very questionable. Anyway, individual speed trap is a problem. They would not be able to enjoy the life like wealth and money. It can affect the mental process, the speed. In Sanskrit it is called Vega Avastha. In Ayurvedic philosophy, the mind assumes a kind of a Vega Avastha, that means a state of speed, where attention to details would be missing, everything is done in a hurry, they cannot enter into a meaningful conversation with anybody, they cannot enjoy even basic intimacy with the people, and such a lot of things, Vega Avastha. And that Vega Avastha would almost sometimes develop into kind of madness also. So nowadays everybody is a victim of speed trap. So when when you travel in a modern car, 100 plus 120 kilometers per hour speed, you cannot really see the surroundings. But if you go in 40, 60 kilometers speed, you can enjoy the surroundings and you are at peace. You enjoy the journey. So there's a speed for everything. In nature process, there's a speed. There's a certain speed for the rotation and the revolution of the planet Earth. Okay, for example, there's a speed with which the trees grow and fruits become mature. But human tendency was to conquer that aspect, and they achieved speed of motion. Ancient people getting the help of a horse, and now most advanced motor cars and aeroplanes are there, high speed. Okay, so easily become victims of speed trap. But where are they reaching by this fast motion? Nobody knows. All right. The speed trap is explained in my book, The 9 Mental Traps of Corporate India. 76. How do you steal time back from a distributed world? No, you cannot. In my perspective, there is no time at all. I don't accept any theories about time. Time is just a measurement of process duration. Okay? A process is happening. Okay? Okay? Water is flowing. The food is getting cooked. It cannot go back. So, a great Stephen Hawking or somebody is talking about time travel, time machine and all that. That is because of their false understanding of time. That's what I want to say. Time is nothing but the duration of processes, and that's why there is relativity. So the process of cooking in the conventional way, it takes 45 minutes, and if it is in a pressure cooker, it takes 20 minutes. So the duration of process, like weight is measured by kilograms, time is measured by some equipment, and human beings have assigned names for the time, minute, second, etc., and it happens so perfectly, and on the basis of that a lot of machines and a lot of plants, a lot of things are working in the mechanical, electrical, electronic world, that's all. So what is the question? So there is no, that question is very relevant to in its totality. Question number 77. Is Taoic process the ultimate form of linkage? Of course, the ultimate form. Tao meaning in tune with, in good flow, like the flow of a meandering river, okay, or the flow of the wind across the fields, or the flow of the branches from the trunk of the tree, or the flow of the movements of a little baby, or the flow of the flight of a bird, or the Tao, or the tuning of everything with everything else in the nature process. That is called a Tao. So, and that Tao, that flow of a river is in such a beautiful originality because of its banks, because of the boundaries. So, because of the way the water is linkaged with the terrain. So, there is a linkage. So, and that linkage is an ever flexible, highly sensitive process. So, Taoic process is definitely the ultimate linkage. Or ultimate linkages are operating in Taoic process. Like there can be romantic love, some of that level of Tao. So the linkages are at a non-identifiable, mysterious, magical level. 78. How does a genius leader handle a normal distribution workforce? Oh, it's a very difficult process, but a genius leader will be able to do that. Because a genius leader is a genius leader because of his or her competences, his or her high-level, high powerful engines of intellect, attention to details, and the great power of language. The 6 components are at a higher order. His expressions, his responses, his behaviors, his ways of doing things, his ways of relating with every one of them, and above all, his language is of that genius level. So with that, you can definitely manage a so-called normal distribution workforce, no doubt. What is the logos of a successful organization? Logos. That's what I have written. The logos of the science, logos meaning science, the logos of a successful organization is what I have more or less delineated in my book, The Organization Entelechy, Creative Manager, Genius Leader and Taoic Process. When that book was released by the genius of Sam Pitroda, the person who brought in the telecom revolution in India, he raised that book to the audience and said, if there is a future for management education and in its real sense, this one book is enough, he said to an audience. So that organization entelechy, to understanding the organization entelechy and by creative managers and genius leaders, so that the organization is in a Taoic process. That is the whatever is that is the logos of a successful organization. But successful in a nature process sense. Okay, if success is just measured by the wealth created and kind of assets amassed all over the world, that I don't think are successful. Then the owners of that institution, they are successful because they wanted to make wealth and money. So a successful organization, if it is something that is for the benefit of the poor and underprivileged, so that life become peaceful and happy, then such an organization is kind of successful. Sometime back, Tata Iron and Steel in Jamshedpur was a successful organization. I think most of the Tata organizations had that element of successful organization. As I know, there may be many, I don't know. I mean, the logos is what is written in what you call organization entelechy. Question number 80. Can a trap be turned into a linkage? Trap itself cannot be turned, but the mindset that is working behind which becomes a trap can be resolved, and so that the trapness of that mindset becomes ineffective. So it operates like a linkage. Let us say the mental trap of rigidity or functional fixedness. Someone is not able to vary, not able to deviate from the fixed pattern of his or her activity. But she is doing it okay. So that person will be made aware of the nature of rigidity or the requirements of functional flexibility, and by that rigidity get converted into flexibility. Okay. Thereby the trap becomes a linkage for further development and evolution. I am talking about a mental trap. 81. Why is creative management an oxymoron to most? Yeah, very simple. For most of the people working in organization, they are just above the majority. They have been educated and they have been familiarized with the regular process of an organization. What unique competence is required to work in most of the organizations today? Okay. Maybe at a supervisor level, at manager level, at senior manager level, they may require certain unique intellectual competencies. That also regular things, the process and procedures and systems are all clear to them. They just repeat it almost every day. And if there is a complexity, and then the organization suffers. There is no real creative steps. So, creative management is an oxymoron because great majority are not creative. Evidenced by the fact today that they are not even able to use the wonder of artificial intelligence for their general requirement even. They are not able to do the proper so-called prompting. They are not able to really think because they have never been trained to think during their educational process. Even most part of their work, it does not require any thinking. Okay? It's a collective affair. So, creative management, of course, I have developed a complete course named Creative Management, and I have conducted training programs in creative management for some organizations, and I have conducted a full credit course in creative management at the PhD Institute of Management in Coimbatore and in Chandragupta Institute of Management in Patna and all that. But in PhD, the students were very much inspired by that program. But in Chandragupta Institute of Management Patna, the students were not that much interested because most of them were there for a job. So the course got cancelled. And I was also happy because creative management is not about teaching, explaining theories and principles in the book. It's about training the creative analytical thinking of every student. I made every student write so many assignments of original quality, not textbook assignments. And they had to write approximately 200 to 300 pages over a period of 3 months. And of course, those who have done that, if they are aware of what I am talking now through this video, they would know. So, creative management requires creative managers. And creative manager is a creative manager because his or her powers of the engines of intellect, the ability for creative attention, creative analytical thinking, creative observation, creative conceptualization, and creative ways of looking at the world. Such a person is not one of the majority, definitely not. They are bordering upon what I call eccentricity. Question number 82. What is the cost of a block linkage in a billion-dollar company? Yeah, the question is very simple. It depends upon what linkage is getting blocked. Yeah, that's all. 83. How do you edit a corporate culture using the 6 components? That involves a series of activities, series of carefully orchestrated direction, like a film director is directing the actors. Okay. So only a creative manager or a genius leader can do that. So corporate culture meaning there is no unique entity in the air called culture. Corporate culture is revealed in the expressions and responses and behaviors and actions and ways of relationships and the language they use in their corporate in their communication, normal communication. So that requires a real training, at least a 3-day training for every one of them, with clear guidance, with clear case studies and making them do real creative, analytic, reflective thinking. If I do it, I will use perhaps the parables of leadership and other Zen parables. Definitely I can do it, but everybody just cannot do it. 84. What is the entelechy of India's future? Gemini has a different meaning for the entelechy. The term entelechy, as the way I used it in my book, it originally means the realization of potential, or the supposed vital principle that guides the development and functioning and evolution of an organism to its full blooming state. So, that means if the question can be reduced to whether India would reach its possible, probable evolution, perhaps as implied in the finest perspectives about a nation. India has all that potentialities. My book, The Master Thief, ends with that only. For example, Zen is the highest perspective, according to me, and Japan is so great because of the Zen kind of a philosophy of life, philosophy of work, and philosophy of relationship, and approach to the very existence itself. And what is Zen? It is the essence of Indian Upanishads and other classic perspectives. They have gone basically from the ancient Bharat via China and Hong Kong and finally Japan. So that great philosophy is there in India, and the great rishis who created almost all the required sciences and philosophies for life, they were all from India. So India has a great tradition, great knowledge, great wisdom and understanding. But who will train the mass of population to understand that and to trust in that and to, that knowing to be converted into the doing and being, which is a tremendous task. But like Arnold J. Toynbee said, finally India will become the leader of the world. The great work of Arnold J. Toynbee, I think about the story of civilization or something like that, that book ends with just with the 3 words, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So India has all the attendant spirit and the vital principle. So there could be a sudden change also. Right now, according to me, there is a political agency in charge of the affairs of development of India. But if they really try, there's a possibility. Or there is the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh. If they decide it is possible. Or by chance, if the other parts of the world become kind of distributed or dissipated by their karma, and then naturally India would become the leadership position. Already India is perpetuating the concept of yoga and the practice of yoga, and the other parts of the world is kind of showing signs of dissipation because of their arrogance and power and wealth and careless management of individual philosophies. Thereby, India may come into its glorious possibility. But so long as the so-called rudiments of dividing people into, to openly say, into various castes and a section of people looking down upon the other people, so long as that culture and tradition remains, it is very unlikely also. But in general, looking at the other countries, looking at the entelechy of other nations, India is likely to come to a unique position of relative goodness and rightness and correctness in the future. Question number 85. How do you see you in a world of mirrors? That's a kind of a poetic question. So, I don't care the mirroring by other people about me. Rather, as I told you, I live in tune with my double. So, I see me. I have written a book by name See You. So, I see that simple agent of eye consciousness is all the time seeing that creature only. I call it a creative creature perspective, which also I have written in my book, Organization Interlocking. So I see, in a way, myself as just the creature of this planet Earth. It is not by mirroring of the world of people, but the world outside. I mean the nature process, the trees and the birds and the winds and the rains and the mountains. That nature process. So I see myself mirrored by the nature process. That is this body, this human creature's body. Yeah. The air it takes, the water it drinks, the food it takes, and 100% this creature. So I see this human creature 100%. Just outside there is a lingering element of a piece of awareness which is called I, and even that is maintained by the light of that electrical that field, the energy field generated by the creature. That's all.